Hey, is this me? I can't tell.
Yo, how's it going? It's me, and I have a review of the new album from very good band, Gojira, with their new album Magma. It's their sixth album, their first since 2012's L'Enfant Sauvage. Poor little crack. Yes, it's been a while since we got a new Gojira album and some new Gojira jams. And I was very much looking forward to this album. They put out their first song, Stranded. I thought it was very interesting. It was a much different change for this band, much different sound and way of doing things. And so I was like, I'm still looking forward to this. You know, I want to hear more of it. And I must say that this is a very intriguing album from start to finish. I think L'Enfant Sauvage is probably my favorite Gojira album in terms of songwriting. I thought it had a great mix of like melody and just pure fucking heaviness. Don't get me wrong, I love The Way of All Flesh and From Mars to Sirius and all that stuff. They're great. Gojira's an amazing band. And there's kind of one that sounds like Gojira. And there still really isn't anyone that sounds like Gojira. This is the most different Gojira album, but it's still very much them. It's still, very heavy at times with just that anger that only this band has. But this album is very beautiful at times. What? It's cool. This is definitely the most accessible album from Gojira. If you're someone that's looking to get into this band, I would recommend this album. However, I feel almost it might make it a little hard to go backwards, maybe. Because if you really got into this first and you fall in love with it and then you go backwards, you might be a little disappointed, or you might just be blown away. I mean, one of the two. But this is definitely a very accessible album. And right away with the Shooting Star, the very first track, there's no screen vocals on that. It's a very kind of slow, chuggy song. Clean vocals throughout, pretty much. Some great, very catchy guitar moments, and some great, very haunting sounding vocals. I really like that song a lot, and I thought it was an interesting spot to put that song, to be the first track, to say, this is different, this is new, this is fresh, we're going in a different direction. And it's exciting to me. Then you get to Silvera, which is another just amazing song. Probably one of my personal favorites on this album. But I'd say this song that kind of is the most Gojira-like, you could say, is the third track, The Cell. It starts off with just very, let's say, tremolo picking on the guitars, very crazy drum beats going on, and then it just busts into a very simplistic but fucking heavy as hell guitar riff, if you want to call it that, during the verse, and the drums are just have the perfect beat to it. The first time I heard that, I went, fucking yes. That's probably one of my favorite moments on this album. The only thing I'll say about that song in particular is that it, towards the end, the verse guitar riff comes back, and then the drums are just kind of building up to something. But I feel it's a little just, I don't know, almost anticlimactic. It builds up and then it just kind of deflates, and it just doesn't really have that oomph behind it that I expect every single time I listen to it. I'm like, oh fuck yeah, I love this part. And then it just, I don't know, it just kind of doesn't go anywhere, and then it just kind of ends. So while I think it's a great song, and it's one of the better songs on here, I feel the ending of that song is just a little disappointing. I talked a little bit about Stranded earlier, but probably, maybe my most favorite moment on this album is the ending of Stranded. With those clean vocals at the end. It's so beautiful. The guitars are so beautiful. It gets stuck in my head all the time, and it's so radically different for this band. And, you know, the last album that I reviewed, and that was on this channel as a review, was Whitechapel's Mark of the Blade, which is coming out soon. And they did some different stuff on that album. But it just doesn't work. It just still, it feels corny. That band's in a creative crisis. I know it's a totally different band than Gojira, but this is how you do it to me, in that you completely change your sound practically, but you're still very true to yourself. You're still very true to your fans and that sound that, kind of made you in the first place. But you're just expanding, you're growing, and I just feel there's a lot of thought put into this, and it all just flows so well together, and I love that they're just expanding and growing who they are, and they're not just a one-trick pony of just this fucking anger and chaos and just awesome fucking shit. Don't get me wrong, but we're not just going to get that over and over again. Now with Gojira, you're like, I don't know what it's going to sound like. When before you'd be like, I kind of know what's going to happen. That's one thing about this album. It's unexpected. The first listen through this album, I feel, is a little bit special because you just don't know what's around the corner, because this is just a different approach, and that's exciting. Last thing I want to say about Stranded is the beginning is cool with the guitar riff, the trots and the weird-ass guitar noises. But I will say, I love the beat that the drums have, but I feel there should be a little bit more oomph when the whole band kicks in and the song really gets going. Just want to put that out. Next track, though, Yellowstone, is very short. It almost reminds me of something you'd hear on like a stoner album, with one of those bands. It was interesting, but at the same time, I felt that song was a little bit of a waste of time, and it didn't really need to be on here, to be honest with you. It just, I don't know, just doesn't do anything. That's just me. Magma, though, the title track, is probably the weirdest song on here. I love this song from start to finish. I love the chorus. I love the way this song starts. I love the just weird shit that's going on during the verses. The clean vocals during. It's just, everything is great about that song. It's weird, and it took me a little bit to get used to, but over time, it's probably one of my favorite songs on here. But I will say that the ending of the album is fine. These songs aren't bad, but the album does lose me a little bit after, I'd say, Pray. Pray is a pretty heavy song. But after that, it loses me a little bit. I'm not saying it's awful. I'm just saying, the excitement factor isn't there. But I do think that guitar-wise, this is definitely an interesting album. I'm not saying it's the best Gojira album in terms of riffs, and just heaviness, but I think in terms of like a whole band, these guys, they kind of really put together a solid album. Does it blow me away completely? No, but does it excite me for the future of Gojira? Yes, because I feel a lot of the things they did on here, it's their first time doing this, and it'll get a lot better over time. I'm not going to call this album of the year by any stretch of the imagination, but I do think it's a good listen, and if you're a fan of this band, I think you will enjoy this. Just know there is a lot of differences here. So yeah, I like it. Gojira, Magma, check it out. 8.5 out of 10 for me. Check out all the stuff that we've put up recently. It's been pretty cool. Cool stuff. There's cool stuff coming up, as always. Thanks for watching. See you around.